Hi, students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Vancouver Island here in Western Canada. I hope that everybody is having an awesome week so far. I hope that you're staying healthy and staying strong. Students, in this class, we are looking at an IELTS speaking part 1. This is the first part of the speaking section, the speaking interview, and today's topic for speaking part 1 will be talk about your transport or your transportation. Welcome, Yogit. Hi, Hikmatillo. Hi, Min. Baljit, Sarah, Kelvin. Nice to see many of our regular students and nice to see some new students in the chat as well. Students, I'm doing a little bit of a different setup today, as you might see, so hopefully it's working awesome for everybody. Let me know if it's otherwise. This lesson, everyone, is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Check us out there. And for the general IELTS, check us out at IELTShelp.com. Welcome, Carolina, our chat moderator. Our websites look like this. This is our academic IELTS website here with the blue background, and you can join our premium IELTS package by clicking this big red button right there that is just kind of up above my head. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. Yeah, I'm using a bit of a different microphone today. This is a mobile setup that I'm using today. We are an IDP and British Council partner. We are an official IELTS test registration center as well. I'm a certified British Council agent, so you are in great hands with us. We know what is going on with the IELTS exam, so if you have questions, you can definitely get a hold of me. For the general IELTS, we are using this website. It's the green background, and again, you can click this big red button there behind me, above me. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access, and you can use a discount code. It is Fluent9. So if you enter the code Fluent9, you will get a 25% discount. This is a limited code. We still have a few of these left, so you can use that. Again, that code is Fluent9 for a 25% discount. So if you're looking for great IELTS materials, these IELTS materials are basically our textbooks for these live classes. Definitely get that. If you have questions, then make sure you send me an email to Adrian at aehelp.com. That is my email address. We love questions, so do send them if you have them. Today in our speaking class, you will have a chance to speak, not just in the chat, but some of you will be able to call me and talk to me as well. Students, our streaming schedule from the 11th to the 13th for this week. We have the speaking part 1 class right now. And just a really important note for our members. Today there's no members chat class. So tomorrow there will be a task 2 writing class for everyone. But there will not be a members chat class tomorrow. However, there will be a members chat class on Saturday. So we'll have a speaking part 2 and speaking part 3 on Saturday. But right now we will have a speaking part 1 class in just a moment. And if you are practicing your speaking, definitely check out our latest speaking video release. It's a good one. I will copy paste that URL into the chat so you can check it out at some point. There you go. All right. So Our speaking for today will be about transportations, cars, buses, bicycles, and so forth. Part one of the IELTS speaking interview. It's questions on a general topic, it's questions to get to know you better, and it takes about the first 5 minutes of your speaking interview. Your speaking interview is about 12 to 15 minutes in length, and it will be recorded. You will be met by a professional examiner who may or may not be a native speaker of the English language. And basically, they are going to start by asking you to identify yourself. Now, in speaking part one, everybody, it is super duper important that you show confidence right from the beginning and that you show fluent, clear English right from the very start. So, there's a really kind of important step that you have to take. And I haven't emphasized this in our last few speaking classes, but I'm going to say it now because I usually do. I usually say this. Make sure this is the single most important strategy for you to start the IELTS speaking section well. Okay, so make sure to speak English for at least an hour before your speaking section exam so that you feel confident and fluent before you speak with the examiner. So do everything in your power to talk with another person in English, whether that's a friend, a family member, a teacher, your conversation partner, somebody that you speak with online through our websites. You're going to see that in a bit. You can have a conversation partner for free through our websites as well. Zarina, I'm just using a different microphone, different setup, but my voice has not changed. I promise you. I'm sure you will all hear that in a few days when I'm back in my home office. All right, you guys can see I'm using a different headset, right? Okay, so make sure that you, if you're doing a face-to-face interview and you have to go to your speaking exam to sit face-to-face, go early. You can probably find another candidate at the exam who will be glad to speak English with you before their test. If you're doing a computer-based one and you have to go to the exam center, again, go early. You will probably find someone, a candidate, who will gladly go over some speaking questions with you to warm up, and they'll be happy that you were so prepared and helpful. If you're now doing the home-based computer exam, there are a few countries where they're doing that. Make sure that you speak with another person, maybe even through the computer using some kind of a chat like our website or another chat like Messenger, and you're talking to another student for at least half an hour before you actually have to speak with the examiner. Now, when the examiner calls you in, don't be worried, okay? It's not the end of the world. They will examine many students that day. To them, in some sense, you are just a number, and they will actually say that. They'll say this is candidate number 95731. So don't take anything personally, okay? You are there to do a job. So when you start your speaking exam, do not get worried about the examiner. You are there to do one job, and that one job is to get the best score possible, okay? All right, that's your job. You've got nothing else to do there except to show your best English, okay? So don't worry about the examiner. What I always tell students is think about the examiner as your grandfather or your grandmother. Does anybody know why I say that? So, um, Baljit, Zarina, our members, anybody know why I say it's a good idea to visualize or think about the examiner as your loving grandmother or your grandfather? Why do I say that? There's a very specific reason. I don't say it's a job interview. I don't say it's like talking to your friend. I don't say it's like talking to your teacher. I specifically tell people to imagine that they are speaking with their grandfather or your grandmother. Why do I say that? Yeah, so Mien says because we want to be polite and loud. Yes, because we want to speak politely with a loud, clear voice. That's right. So, grandpa, grandma, sometimes they don't hear all that well. So you have to really speak nice and loud and clear so that they can hear you and they're not going, "What? What did you say, me? Me? What are you saying? I can't hear you." So I'm not saying your grandma has bad hearing. Me, I'm just giving you an example of, yes, speaking loud. Absolutely. Kundan says to get rid of nervousness. Yeah, grandma, grandpa love you. Sure, because they love you and you feel comfortable with grandma, grandpa. Sure. What else? There's actually even more reason to that. Okay. All right. What else? Any other reason why, you know? Okay, well, another reason why you want to imagine that you're speaking to grandma or grandpa is because you need to give very clear explanations to grandma and grandpa because, I should say, since they are two generations, or I should say, there is a two-generation gap, right? So if you're talking about Instagram, you can't be saying things like I'm snapping pics of myself and posting on IG because they're going to be like, "You're snapping what and doing what am a who?" So grandma and grandpa will kind of give you like a what? Look, if you're using some very new types of concepts, technology, slang, or vocabulary, right? So the examiner is the same. You have to speak very clearly to the examiner. They probably don't know a lot of facts about your culture, your life, your background. So in part one here, when we start talking about transportation, the examiner has no idea about your transportational needs and uses. So they don't know where you need to go, how far it is, what kind of bus or train you have to take. So you have to speak very, very clearly to them, right? So there's a two generational gap. You have to really clearly explain concepts. And there's there's kind of another reason that you might want to visualize that you're talking to grandma and grandpa. This isn't one that I've spoken about lots in the past. And this fourth reason is don't overspeak. Okay, do not overspeak and go off topic because grandpa, what do you think is going to happen? If you start over speaking with grandpa, if grandpa asks you how do you get to school, and you tell them, well, grandpa, I usually take a train to school for about half an hour, and then on the train, I always talk to people and I'm doing my math assignment. Last week, I had this really difficult math assignment and I was working on it and asking one of the passengers if they know anything about math. What do you think is going to happen if you overspeak to grandpa and grandma? Zarina says lose patience. Baljit says they will be confused. I say grandpa will fall asleep. I don't know how old your grandparents are, but if you have some older grandparents, and you start talking and talking and talking. Next thing you know, you look over to your grandma or your grandpa, and they're doing this. And you're like, whoa, did I just kind of go off topic there a little bit and put them to sleep? Right? So I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but it certainly happened. It certainly happened to me as well in the past. So don't do that. The examiner won't fall asleep. They're there to do a job, but they will interrupt you and they will stop you and it will be awkward, just like it's quite awkward to try to wake up grandpa from their sleep in the middle of a conversation, right? So okay, everybody, so we're looking good. Let's get a little bit into some of these questions. So again, you've registered for your IELTS exam, and you're feeling confident. You went early. You visualize grandma or grandpa as you go into the exam room. And then you're met by an examiner, kind of like me, and the examiner says, welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner. This is candidate number 98512275, and this is examiner number 7761. We are currently conducting this exam in Vancouver. The time right now is 9 a.m. Now we shall begin. May I see your identification? So this is the first question. It's always the first question. Be ready for it. They want to check your ID. This is a kind of a question to get you focused on your exam as well. So it's very typical. Practice different ways to answer this question, and always practice fluent ways to answer this question. Okay? All right. So give me a nice full sentence answer, and then I will compare it to mine. So I'll give you one here. Okay, so here we go. Gladly. Here's my passport that I have used for registration. Please take a look at my credentials. Okay, now everybody, this is speaking, so make sure to speak and repeat. My accent is a West Coast North American accent. You can call it Canadian, you can call it American, it doesn't matter. Canadians, Americans have very similar accents, especially if you're on the West Coast or if you're on the East Coast or if you're in the central part of these two countries. So it's not really Canadian American, but it's kind of coastal and central and southern accents that we have here. So mine is a West Coast Canadian accent. But it's kind of like the same as Hollywood accent, if you will. Okay, so all those movies that you're watching, you kind of probably hear, oh yeah, he kind of speaks similarly to some of those characters in the movies that are so popular. So speak and repeat, students. This is a speaking class. Make sure to copy what I say, copy the way I say it, try to mimic my pronunciation, my intonation, as best as possible. Okay. All right. Baljit says this. So Baljit says, yep, here is my passport, which I have used to register. Please have a look at my credentials. Baljit, not bad. I would not use the word yup. Just because yup is very colloquial, and it's not that you can't use everyday language in your speaking. In fact, it's a good idea to use some common words, but yup it's too informal, especially for the start of the interview. So I would use the word yes instead of yup. Yup is it's a bit on the too loose side. Okay, so Just be careful with that word yup. Instead of yup, well, use the word yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, Anahita, yup is very informal. It's like even when you think of formal and informal English, there are words that are informal, and then there are words that are really informal, like very buddy buddy. Okay, you want to stay away from those extremely informal words like yup or ain't. Would be another one. Okay. All right. So again, nice and fluently, right? May I see your identification? Gladly. Here's my passport that I have used for registration. Please take a look at my credentials. Okay, next question. What is your full name? Always, they will ask you this. It's part of the introduction, so it doesn't matter if you're doing the computer based at home, at the exam center. They will definitely ask you for your name and that hidden question, right? Always think of that hidden question, which is, what should I call you? That is the hidden question. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're answering both of those at the same time. All right. Let's see what you have here. So Sarah has a response here. Let's grab that. Now, students, right now I'm just grabbing your responses from the chat, but for many of our new viewers, we will actually be practicing speaking for real with volunteers in a few moments. Okay. So here we go. Sarah says, my first name is Sarah and my family name is Maury as it is written in my passport. Please address me by my name. Yeah, by my given name, right, Sarah? So some people like to be called by their family name. So some people would like to be called Maury or Miss Maury, especially if they're older, right? But it's still just common practice to say my given name. Okay, so and then sometimes we repeat it as well. So Sarah, right? So just like that. And then that's a nice full sentence response, Sarah. So again, what is your full name? My first name is Sarah and my family name is Maury as it is written in my passport. Please address me by my given name, Sarah. Okay, Sarah. Part one, speaking, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better and some questions on a general topic. Do you work or study? Okay. So that is a very, very, very common question. I do believe they ask you this question in every single exam. I think this is like a staple question. It's maybe not every single exam, but there's like a 70 to 80% chance that you will hear this question during the introduction. When I did my IELTS exam the last time, and I think every single time, I've heard this question. So, do you work or study? BB is asking, why do they ask this question? The reason why they ask this question, now BB, that was a good question from me. So BB said, why do they ask this question? Do you work or study? Why do they ask? Okay, they ask this question because most people that speak at least a bit of English should be able to answer this. Okay, so even if somebody is like a band 2 or band 3, okay, band 1, no, band 1 is like hello and goodbye and that's it. But if somebody is like a band 3, they should be able to answer even this question, right? So they want to make the person feel comfortable, and that's why they're asking questions they think that just about any person should be able to answer. Okay. All right. Here is a nice answer from Bibbin. Let's grab this answer. Okay. Here we go. So this is Bibbin here. Bibbin says, I have just completed my senior secondary education and now I'm planning to abroad for my future studies. Okay, Bibbin, it's not a bad start. You have a good start here with the present perfect. I have just completed. Okay, I like how you're showing me some present perfect grammatical range and accuracy there. My senior secondary education, and now I'm planning to abroad for my future studies. There's a mistake here, okay, with the, let's say, grammar. What's the mistake? Who can tell me? Identifying mistakes in speaking is very important. So when you're practicing your speaking and you're recording it on your phone, transcribing it, writing it down, you have to look at sentences like this and then you have to catch the mistakes. And Bibbin, very good, you corrected your own mistake. So Bibbin says I'm missing the word go. Yeah. Absolutely. So there's a missing verb here, go, right? It's very important to make sure that you don't have missing words like that. It gets confusing, okay? So Bibbin says, I have just completed my senior secondary education and now I'm planning to go abroad for my future studies. And this is the part where, you have to be fluent and you want to get a band 8, band 9. So you include the explanation. Okay, let's do it like this. Um, you should always be thinking about the explanation. You should often include examples, but you should always include explanations. Okay, so because I have always wanted to explore another culture and I want to master my English in the UK. Let's say, for example, okay? So I'm sure everybody has at least one or two good reasons why they want to go study abroad. Tell the examiner, right? Don't wait for them to keep asking you why. That's not good. If you're getting a lot of why questions from the examiner, it's not good. So if you hear the examiner ask you why in the beginning, that should be like a boom, a red light that says like, oh, okay, I have to include examples or sorry, explanations, right? So I have just completed my senior secondary education and now I'm planning to go abroad for my future studies because I have always wanted to explore another culture and I want to master my English in the UK. Okay. All right. So give explanations. Keep this in mind, students. So if the examiner asks you why, okay, this should be like a red flag, and it should immediately be like, okay, I have to give the explanations from here on out. That's a light bulb going off that it's, very important that you do that. So keep that in mind. Thumbs up, everybody. So very important that you give explanations. That's what gives you your fluency score, your coherence score, your lexical resource score, your grammatical range and accuracy score. So explanations are very strongly connected to all those scores because you're using these connectives, right? Like because, therefore, as a result, since, while, and then conditions, if. These all come when you are including explanations, okay, clear explanations. So you really want to make sure you focus on that. So if you hear the examiner say why, it should be like, oh, explanations, okay. Good, I see some thumbs up there. Thank you, Carolina, Rajesh, nice. All right, students, so let's keep going a little bit here. Let's answer a few more questions and then we will get into some volunteering. Here we go, everyone. So, next question, the three most common questions for the icebreakers. Do you work or study? What are your hobbies? And what do you do at the weekends? Those are probably, or your free time. Those are the top questions that you get asked during this first part. So be ready for lots of good answers for those. So here we go. What do you do at the weekends? If you're speaking British English, it's at the weekends. If you're speaking American English, it's on the weekends. It doesn't matter to the examiner as long as it's correct English. Okay? Cicera says, bird watching is my hobby. Why, Cicera? Why? That would be my question immediately. Why do you like birds? Okay. So, what do you do at the weekends? All right, Jug Group Sing. Let's see what you have there. Here we go. So, Jug Group Sing. Okay, let's take that one more time. Jug Group Sing says, usually I spend my weekends with my friends, as due to hectic schedule, I don't get time to talk with friends in working days. We together play games and go to theater for watching movie. Jug Group, you have a few different mistakes there. Be really careful with your grammar, okay? You need to review your grammar right away, I can tell you that. Here we go. So usually I spend my weekends with my friends since my hectic schedule does not allow time to talk with my friends during the work week. Okay. We, not together, we play games and go to the theater to watch movies, because it's general, so you're saying plural, to watch movies. Now, here is a very good place to insert an example. Okay, so students often ask me, like, when should I include an example? Well, it's good to include an example when it's kind of obvious. It's like, oh, really? You go to the theater to watch movies? So, like, what's the latest movie that you just watched, right? So you might want to include an example that's like this. Just last week, we saw Top Gun Maverick at the theater. I guess like that. Maverick at the theater. Okay. All right. Like that. Okay. So include those examples when it's kind of obvious, right? Like if I were in this conversation, I'd say, oh, really? You go to the theater? And what did you watch recently? Right? So, oh, it was Top Gun Maverick. Include that. Okay, so Jug Groupson says, I usually spend my weekends with my friends since my hectic schedule does not allow time to talk with my friends during the work week. We play games and go to the theater to watch movies. Just last week, we saw Top Gun Maverick at the theater. There you go. Now that's a nice fluent sentence. Okay, so include those examples when it's kind of given. It's like, oh, okay, that would be a good place to insert an example. Usually about 60 to 70% of the questions. Okay, and then the examiner will introduce the topic, the speaking topic of part one. Let's talk about transportation. Now, when you think about transportation, think about bike, train, plane, bicycle. Okay, So think about all those different modes of transportation, right? They're modes of transportation, or on foot even. Don't forget, that's a type of transportation as well. So it's basically our system of moving from A to B. There's also, of course, public transportation like buses, private transportation like your own vehicle or your car. So lots of ideas coming to mind here. Think about the time needed for the transportation distance that's required. So think kilometers, miles, if you know how to speak with miles and such. So think about all of those. All those words and those ideas should be coming to your head as you get this topic introduced by the examiner. Okay. All right. Yeah, so Chad says plane, Gurlaw says cycle, Pima says airplane. It's spelt a little bit differently, Pima, careful. BP, a monkey would be not a means of transportation, but a horse could be, or an elephant could be in the rare cases. So animal transport does exist, or a donkey could be, right? Motorbike, for sure. Yep. Devitt says horse, right? Why not? Absolutely. Some places they still have that. So, good. All right, everyone. So, let's go with this first question here. And then I will be calling students shortly for these questions. So, here we go. Do you know how to drive a car? So, transportation, why not? Sure. It's a yes no question. Obviously, you should go with one or the other. So, yes, I do. No, I don't. And then give an explanation. So, yes no questions very clearly require explanations. Wan Ting has this answer for us today. Wenting says, yes, I can drive. I used to drive to my university while I have classes, but my parking skill is not that good. Okay, Wen, I wasn't really asking you about your parking skills. I'm just asking you if you can drive. So, yes, I can drive. Now, watch your grammar. I'm asking you in the present tense, right? Like right now. So, um, yes, I can drive. I have had my license for about 5 years, and these days I'm driving mostly to get to my university classes. And I drove here to this exam this morning, right? Let's not talk about parking skills. I didn't really ask you about that. Don't tell me about your parking skills, because then I might get really nervous in the exam that you may be parked next to my car and put a new scratch on my car. So don't tell me that you're not good at parking. And then I'm like, oh, I hope this candidate didn't park beside me today. No, I'm kidding. I don't. Well, you never know. The examiner might think about that, but don't include unnecessary information. That's off topic. Okay. So don't tell me that you can't park the car. All right. When stay on topic, right? So we're talking about your ability to drive. So you can tell me that you're a good driver or a bad driver, but don't go into too many details. Tell me how long you've had your driver's license, right? So yes, I can drive. I have had my license for about 5 years, and these days I'm driving mostly to get to my university classes. Also, I drove to this exam this morning. Okay, good. All right, so that's what we want to do. Let's go to this next question. I want to cover, I know sometimes students are like, okay, you're asking us and we're getting lots of examples from other students, but how would you answer this question? This is why I'm taking a little bit more time today to give you sample answers because I know it's good. So, how often do you ride the bus? Well, since I've had my license for the past half decade, I rarely take the bus because I have no need for it, and I find my car much more convenient. However, if I am going to a party and I plan to have a few alcoholic drinks, I will definitely take the bus or a cab. Okay, so this would be a nice full sentence answer to this. And remember here, I'm copying Wanting, but Wanting says, well, actually, I added that part, 5 years, right? We added that part. So here I'm paraphrasing 5 years with half a decade. Okay. So how often do you ride the bus? Well, since I've had my license for the past half decade, I rarely take the bus because I have no need for it. And I find my car much more convenient. However, if I'm going to a party and I plan to have a few alcoholic drinks, I will definitely take the bus or cab. Okay. I would say maybe uh, once every 3 months. Okay. Now notice this part here that I just added right at the end. As I was saying this, I would say maybe once every 3 months. The I would say, do you know when we use this expression? Does anybody have an idea of when this is a very useful type of expression? That I would say, and we drag it. Watch how I enunciate this. So, I would say once or twice every 3-4 months. So notice how I drag this word say. So it's like I'm doing this. I'm like say like that, right? So I would say maybe once every 3 months. What do you think that expresses, the I would say in this case? It's natural language. The IELTS examiner is marking your natural language, your ability. Yeah, Sarah says it's unsure. We use this when we're indicating that it's an approximation, it's an estimate. So I would say um, means that this is an estimate and I'm not exactly sure. Okay, so it's an estimate, it's an approximation, and I am not totally sure about that response, but it's the best that they're gonna get. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next question. Which is your favorite type of transportation? Okay. So, which is your favorite type of transportation? Well, did I say well before? Yeah, I did right here in the previous one. It's part of my diction. I probably say it more than some people, but I don't want to keep saying it over and over again in the IELTS. So I want to be careful not to have too much redundancy in my communication when I'm speaking a bit more professionally. So let's start this differently. Which is your favorite type of transportation? If I had to choose, I would say, and again, I would say, that my favorite kind of transportation is the bicycle. Because, right? Immediately the explanation. Because it is relatively fast compared with walking. It's great exercise. It is environmentally friendly. And quite versatile. I mean that I can avoid traffic and even go through narrow trails to get to a destination. There is a great shortcut through a park when I ride my bike to university. Okay, so teaching you a bit of language here as well. And there we go, versatile. Okay, yeah, so I'm teaching you a bit of language here as well. And be imaginative. Okay, so which is your favorite type of transportation? Why? If I had to choose, I would say that my favorite kind of transportation is the bicycle because it is relatively fast compared to walking. It's great exercise, it's environmentally friendly, and quite versatile. Versatile means that it can be used in different situations in different ways. I mean that I can avoid traffic and even go through narrow trails to get to a destination. There's a great shortcut through a park when I ride my bike to university. Okay, so answer, explanation, example. Okay, Anahita says this. Let's see what Anahita has. Okay, there's lots of different ways to get a high band score. You just have to make sure that you're fluent, clear, accurate, and you stay on topic. Okay, Anahita says, I like taxi. I like taking a taxi since it is very convenient and fast. Moreover, it is spacious because there are less passengers than buses, than on buses or trains. I don't like horse or donkey since they are extremely dangerous. That's a little bit strange, I think, to mention in the end. I don't like to be crowded by strangers. And yes, I can agree with you. I've taken the Midosuji in Japan. That's a very crowded train. All right, so Anahita, a little bit of correction. Pay attention. I like taking a taxi since it is very convenient and fast. Moreover, it is spacious because there are less passengers than on buses or trains. I don't like to be crowded by strangers. Make sure that you know the correct verbs for different kinds of transportation. So you ride a train, okay? You ride a bike. You drive a car. You ride a horse or a motorbike. Okay? You take a taxi. All right? So know the right verbs. If you're using the wrong verb, you're going to be in trouble. Okay, students, we've got some more questions here for you to answer, we're going to do some volunteering for speaking. So you're actually going to speak with me, okay? So let's do this. Let's do some speaking practice together. This will be kind of fun. I'm really excited to try it with this system as well, okay? So learn from each other when we're doing this speaking. Copy the corrections that I'm giving. Copy the correct sentences. To volunteer for speaking, you need to have an account on our website, ahelp.com. That's because we use the website, okay, and you have to log in to use the speaking function. It's free to use it. You don't have to pay. You create a My Student account. I'll show you where and how in just a second, and then you will see a button. It will be Student Partner Speaking. Make sure to enable your microphone in your browser. So this will be, I have to keep this in mind myself right now. And then keep the window open. Okay, and then you're going to see my handle as master. It will be the only one in big block letters that says master. You'll see a blue envelope. Send me a message that says I want to volunteer, and then I will respond to some volunteers, and we will practice these questions. I will give you feedback. I will give you a band score estimate. I will tell you how you can improve, and then you have some further clarity and direction. Okay. All right. So let's go first to our website, aehelp.com. Okay. Now, again, to create an account, you want to click this big red button. If you want the full course, if you want the premium course. If you just want to try it for free, then you can click this green button there, that one there. Try the demo, and then if you have an account, then you want to log in there at the top, the My Student account. Okay, so that's where the login's at. And then once you've logged in to your My Student account, then in your My Student account, you have computer-based practice exams, you have the full interactive course, you have PDF books, audio, lots more, okay? Of course, that's with the premium. If you have the free version, you're only going to see some of this. And then you have this student partner speaking. Let me switch to a different color. There we go. So you have this student partner speaking there. That's what we're using today. By the way, in some countries, you will also see this. That means that you can register for your IDP. If you see that button, you can register for an at-home computer exam, IELTS exam. It's a new type of exam. You can do that through, if you don't see it, it's because it's not available in your country. If you're using a VPN, careful, it might be available. Okay, so let's go to student partner speaking. You have to accept the terms. It means you're going to be polite. You are responsible for your speech. And then you get into this interface here. Here you will see lots of students. So every person here is a student sitting in some part of the world right now. And then you can send me a message. Joao has sent me a message here. You can see here is Joao, and I can see that Joao has sent a message to Master again. So if you're looking for Master, okay, and then you click the blue envelope and you say, I want to volunteer. Okay. All right, Joao, you're the first one that caught my eye. So let me send you a message back, see if you are there. And let's do this. So are you ready, Joao? Now, I always recommend trying this with another student. Make sure it works for you. Make sure it works on your device. All right, Joao says yes, so let me try this here. And everybody should hear Joao and my conversation clearly. Hopefully, you'll let me know. Okay. All right.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Joao. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm beside a nice lake right now, and it's a beautiful morning, so I'm doing great. Joao, can you remind me, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Portugal, Adrian.
Portugal, yes, and we
Yeah.
have had a conversation in the past, haven't we?
We had two, yeah. We
We've
had
had
two
two.
talks before.
Yeah, but it's been a while. I don't think I've talked to you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you taking the IELTS exam sometime soon?
I was actually taking the C1. In our last conversation, it was like one week prior to the exam. But right now, I'm started to studying for the C2
Which is the highest
for the
level,
Cambridge.
right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the C1 exam is basically, so for all of our viewers out there, Joel, let me just give a quick explanation on that. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. The C1, so the C1 C2 exam, it's part of the European English standardized exam system. And it's basically the low levels are like A1, A2, then the intermediate levels are B1, B2, and then the advanced levels are C1, C2. C1 is kind of like a band 7, 5, 8, and then the C2 level is like 8.59, so that's the highest level. Is that kind of correct, Joe?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely correct.
Yeah, and it's a very good exam system, especially in Europe. If somebody wants to work or study in Europe, it's a good exam system. However, Joao, do keep in mind that that exam system is not as accepted in some countries as, for example, the IELTS. Like if you travel to the US or if you travel to some parts of Asia, for example, they might still say, hey, well, do the IELTS, please. We don't really, we know that system exists, but we don't really pay attention to it too much. So keep that in mind, okay?
Yeah, yeah, I'm aware. I also bought like the IELTS book so I can study the IELTS and the Cambridge.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just focused on getting one certificate. But in the future, if I see the necessity for getting the IELTS one, then I'll be prepared.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can get the C1, C2 level certification, then you shouldn't have too much problem with the IELTS either. Those exams are fairly similar. Like I saw somebody in the chat earlier saying that they did the PTE exam and it was way easier. And yeah, yes and no. I mean, a lot of these exams they're quite similar in their assessment levels. Okay, Joao, that's it's good it's good information for everybody because I think a lot of people are curious about these different systems. Let's get into some of these speaking part one questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So, welcome to the speaking section of the IELTS exam. My name is Adrian. I will be your examiner for this part of the test. May I see your identification?
Of course, here's my passport, which I have used for registering for my IELTS exam.
What is your full name?
My full name is João.
What should I call you?
You can call me Joe.
Okay, Joe. The speaking has three parts. I will give you instructions for each. For part one, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better, and some questions on a general topic. Do you work or study?
I'm actually doing both. So I just finished my first university year as I'm working simultaneously. Yeah.
What do you do at the weekends?
In the weekends, I usually just lay back and just hang out with friends. But recently, I've enrolled in a volunteering program, uh, uh, which has been benefiting me a lot as I have contact with children, and it's really rewarding.
Let's talk about transportation. Do you know how to drive a car?
Yeah, I actually got my driver's license back in November, and since then I've been driving on a daily basis.
How often do you take the bus?
Yeah, although I have the car, I usually take the bus during the academic semester. I usually take the bus every day, but off season, when I'm just relaxing from school, I usually just take the bus maybe once a week to hang out with friends or going to a particular place.
Okay, I'm going to stop there for now, Joe, and I'll give you my feedback and estimate. So, you definitely have nice, fluent English. I would say that your fluency score is a solid band 8. There were a couple of times where you got a little bit stuck, and then you changed up your grammar. So, you changed from like a simple present tense to a present perfect tense. But I think most of the time when you were stuck, or it was mostly because you wanted to, think about what you're saying. Your grammatical range and accuracy, again, that band 8 level, there were just some slight oddities in a couple of places, but overall, very good speaking. And your coherence. So I think overall you'd be scoring about a band 8 for the responses so far. And I do think that you can get closer to the band 9. Now, for your C2 exam, this is going to be very important because, with the European levels, it's kind of like a do or die. So you either pass that level or you don't pass that level, right? It's not like IELTS where they just, grade you lower, right? So you really have to pay attention to this in the oral part of the exam. Um, so first of all, this introduction. So introductory questions. May I see your identification? You want to be very smooth with these, Joao. So you cannot be kind of surprised and stuttering with these. You really have to just very professionally say, gladly, here's my passport that I had used for the exam. Please take a look. Okay, you don't want to stumble or fumble your words. Do you know what I mean by that?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah. I think it's. Sorry, Adrian.
go ahead, go ahead.
I know. I was about to say. I think it's mostly nervousness.
Yeah, and I get that. I do get that it's even when you have very good English like what you have, it's easy to fumble your words because you're so nervous. However, at your level, you have to manage stress because for band 8, band 9, even stress is a negative impact for those marks at that level, right? So again, maybe a band 6 or a band 7, not as much, but at that level, yes. So the next one was, do you work or study? And you said, I'm actually doing both. I just finished my university year, and then you said you work part time, and then you said I'm doing both simultaneously. So you said doing both at the beginning, and then you said simultaneously, which is, a synonym for both near the end. I'm going to come back to this in a second. I just want to show you the next answer. Where I asked you, do you work at the weekends? And you said, I have enrolled in a volunteering program, amongst some other points. And you said it's satisfying you work with children. And then I asked you a little bit later, how often do you ride the bus? And then you said, although I have a car, I take the bus every day during the academic school year and on the weekends. And there's a common trend here, Joao, of something missing. What's missing?
Uh,
It's a critical flaw that's dropping your band score.
uh, I don't know actually. I'm not
It's your
seeing the issue.
explanation. You were
Oh,
lacking.
okay.
It's like every single time I wanted to ask you why. Especially like look at this one here. You said although I have a car, I take the bus every day during the academic school year and on the weekends. And for immediately in my head, I was like, why? Why would you take the bus if you have a car? Wouldn't it be better to take? So I need an explanation there because it's unique. I don't understand it. So this is like the concept of talking with your grandfather or your grandmother, right? Like they have no idea. When grandpa was driving the car to university, I guarantee you that they did not have to pay like $20 a day to park their car, right? So grandpa will be shocked by that when you say it's because grandpa I don't want to pay $20 every day to park at the university and often there's no spots, right? Grandpa would be like, "What? When I was in school, there were lots of spots and nobody had to pay." So you have to give me the explanation. And the explanation was also missing from the volunteer program. You didn't tell me what type of volunteer program. Like, is it at a children's hospital? Is it at a school reading books to kids? And why do you do it, right? So maybe you have some cousins or some brothers, sisters who are younger, and that's why you decided to join the program. So there was just really a lack of explanation, okay? So be really careful with that. Let me ask you this last question one more time. Answer it again and include for me an explanation, okay? Don't go overboard, but just a simple explanation. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so how often do you ride the bus?
Although I have a car, I usually take the bus every day during the academic semester, because mainly the gas is so costly, and in Portugal, in particular, the public transportation is a lot cheaper than riding a car. So I just save the car just to travel with friends or um, every now and then. But for everyday kind of stuff, I usually take the bus.
Okay, right idea, wrong approach. So you're thinking well now that you're explaining this, and you told me your first explanation, the one that really stuck with me, was that the price of petrol or gas in Portugal is very expensive, right? Okay, that's fine. And then this is the danger of the explanation is the over explanation. So the key to the high band score is give an explanation, but not over explanation. And in your case, you went over explanation. So instead, what you want to do is think numbers and stick to numbers. So how much money do you save each month taking the bus instead of the car to university?
Uh, I think I've never really calculated,
Doesn't
but
have to be the truth, Joe. Just a
yeah,
rough
yeah.
number.
I don't know, 30 euros.
30 euros. Okay. Sure. I bet it's a lot more than that, but let's just say 30 euros. I would probably estimate like 100 euros if you think of parking, gas, the use of the car, fixing, etc. It's probably at least insurance for the car. It's probably at least 100, but let's just say it's 30, right? So you can say that, right? So that's where you say, okay, during the academic school year, I usually take the bus because it's a lot cheaper. The price of gas has really gone up. I save at least 30 to 40 euros each month, and then you stop, and that's a clear band 9. Okay, so really focus on that. Answer, explain, maybe an example, very clear, keep it short. Okay,
Okay, Jim.
all right, do that for your C2. Believe me, it's going to be important. Okay.
Yes.
All right, Joe, thank you so much for calling in today, being the first volunteer of the week. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day in Portugal.
Thank you so much, Adrian. You
Okay,
too.
bye, Joe.
Bye.
All right, that was Joao from Portugal. So that's how it works. I spent a bit of extra time with Joao because he gave us a very good example of what to pay attention to. And whether you're a high band score like Joao, band 8, or band 9 even, um, the same concepts apply for lower band scores. So even for like a band 6 or 7, you have to have those explanations and examples in there, okay? Thanks for the thumbs up, by the way, everybody. All right, we have some other people volunteering here. Let's take you from the very top here. You Chuk. You Chuk, yes, you can volunteer. Are you ready? Okay, let's reach out to you this well, morning for me, but I know it's evening and late time for a lot of you. You is ready. There we go. Can everybody hear the conversations really well? While I'm calling out you here, everybody heard Joao and me speak clearly? Zarina says yes. Okay, that's good. Li Hyung says yes. I can hear that you picked up. Can you make a sound? I can't really hear you. Definitely the system works on my end, as you can tell from Joao in Portugal. If I can't hear you, it means that you're either using some sort of VPN system or device where you might have compatibility issues, or you might not have enabled your speaker and microphone. So try a different browser, try a different device, even maybe if you have the chance, and make sure you click allow to use speaker and microphone on the website. Okay, you test it out with some other people in the chat, and then come back to me. Okay. All right. Let's see who else is here. Let's go right underneath Jose. Jose, are you ready? I'm going to try to pick out a few students still here, so hang in there, everybody. We've got a bit of time. All right. Jose, if you're still with us, give me a sign. Yes, you are. Here we go. Hello, Jose.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing, Jose?
Can't complain, buddy.
No
Never
complaint.
better.
Okay. All right. Jose, may I ask where are you calling from?
I don't know if you remember, we talked last week. I am from Venezuela. You mentioned that you have a friend here called Orlando, something like that.
Yes, that's correct, Jose. Yes, from
Cool.
Venezuela. Awesome. Okay, Jose, have you been studying lots of English since we last spoke?
Yes, actually, I belong to a conversation group with people from Latin America, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala. We meet like twice a week in the evening.
Cool. Is that, may I ask, is that online or in person somehow?
Yes, no, online. This is a Christian short that I found on Facebook. We practice.
Nice, nice. So it's a English conversation club that you found through Facebook, basically, right?
Yes, I'm free.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I mean, conversation clubs should be. You know, there are so many different ways to interact. Even on our website, students can meet up with each other. That's why we have that interface that we're using right now, and it's free, right? So, yeah. Okay. All right. So, Jose, let's do this. Are you ready for some questions?
I hope so.
All right. Okay. Here we go. So let's talk about transportation. Which is your favorite type of transportation?
Well, definitely my favorite transportation is the car because it's easier to get to another place fast. And maybe on weekends, I normally I take, or in this case, I use my motorcycle because it's faster. I have to go to places faster, so I get the bike, the motorbike. Sorry.
Okay. So instead of going to other questions, let's just focus on this one for a moment, Jose. All right. So that would be like a band six. And purely because you have good vocabulary and good pronunciation and good fluency. But you can get higher, Jose. You can get seven, eight with better content, okay?
Right.
Content is king. I mean, it's just it really is, especially when we're speaking in another language, especially when we're speaking in another language in an exam, it's hard to focus on content, but we have to focus on content. Which is your favorite type of transportation? You said definitely my favorite transportation is the car. Okay, until that point, it was good. Um, However, and this happens, I've seen this happen, Jose, to other people as well. They suddenly switch out their answer. Switching out your answer becomes very confusing. So, again, if you were at the start of the class, I said you're talking to grandma or grandpa. If grandpa were listening to you, they would kind of be listening. And then when you say, on the weekends, I take my motorcycle, they'd be like, huh?
All right.
So you like the motorbike now, grandson, or do you like the
Yes,
car? What do you
I
like? You're
got it.
confusing
Yeah,
me, right? Grandpa would be really confused. Um,
sure.
so you can't swap out answers like that. Once you pick one, stick with it, say it. Even if you change your mind, don't change it during the exam. Don't say what you're saying, or don't say what you're thinking. Then just keep with the first one. So we have to get rid of this whole part about the motorbike because it's confusing. Okay.
I got it.
So definitely my favorite transportation is the car because it's easier. When you use a word like easier, right? Basically what you're saying is more easy. Um, Anytime we use these er adverbs, then we're making it a relative. We're comparing, right? So what are you comparing the car to? So definitely my favorite transportation is the car because it's easier than what?
It's easy to get faster to a place.
Than what though? It's easier than what to get? Than what else? What other type of transportation?
Maybe walking or
Yeah, yeah, or bus, right? So definitely my favorite transportation is the car because it's easier than walking or the bus to get to another place fast. Okay,
can I
good.
say faster?
Um, You can, but you don't need to.
All right.
That's one of those little differences that doesn't matter. It won't make a difference in your score. So,
Right. Right.
to get to another place faster, sure, it doesn't matter. Okay, so now we have an answer and an explanation. Okay, now, and we're not jumping to motorbikes or bicycles. Suddenly, we're staying with this. Okay, now give me a very nice, short, clear sentence using a number that's an example of this. Okay, so just give me a very simple example of the car being faster than walking or the bus and use a number, some kind of a number measurement.
All right.
So, like last week, for example.
Sorry, I think I couldn't hear the
Yeah,
last part.
so what I'm
Could you
trying
repeat?
to get you to do here, Jose, is just give me an example to support this concept of my favorite transport is the car because it's easier than walking or the bus to get to another place fast. So now give me an example of this, a very simple example.
All right.
Let me show you what I mean. Okay, I think maybe I'm not being clear here with you. So I would finish this by saying last week I took my car to school because it is only a 5-minute drive as opposed to a 30-minute walk. Okay, so something like that, right? And then that would finish what you're saying. So here's the full answer. Let me repeat this, Jose, and then copy it after me, okay? So once I ask again, here we go. Which is
Sure.
your favorite type of transportation? Definitely my favorite transportation is the car because it's easier than walking or the bus to get to another place fast. Last week I took my car to school. It was only a 5-minute drive as opposed to a 30-minute walk. Okay, Jose, which is your favorite type of transportation?
Definitely, my favorite transportation is the car because it's easier than walking, or the bus to get to another place fast. Last week, I took my car to school because it is only a 5 minutes right, as opposed to 30-minute walk.
Yeah,
Sorry, I don't know if I pronounce well opposed.
as opposed.
Opposed, sorry.
Yeah, opposed. It's close. Opposed. As opposed to. So the expression is as opposed to. Try to just repeat that whole phrase for me. As opposed to.
Opposed,
As opposed to.
as opposed to.
Yeah, always be confident and strong when you're repeating. Yeah, absolutely, Jose. Okay, so answer, explanation, example, and very importantly, don't confuse grandpa by throwing motorbike in there, okay? Because
Sure, I will.
grandpa's going to be, I don't know what my grandson does. He rides a bike and drives a car and he's going all crazy these days. Okay, Jose, thank you so much for volunteering.
My pleasure.
Keep up the good practice, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day in Venezuela.
Sure, thanks. You as
Okay,
well.
thank you. Bye, Jose.
Bye.
All right, that was Jose. He was quite windy wherever Jose was, from what I heard, anyway. Okay, let's move along here a little bit. I'm gonna jump down in my list here. Let's see if Min is here with us today. So Min, are you ready? I'm jumping around, students, so I know I've seen some members in here as well. Worry not, I will try to get to a few more people here as well. Min, if you are ready, let me know. Black Star, you're after my heart. I can see it. Thank you for your compliment. Okay, Min, are you ready? Yes, Min's ready. Okay, Min. Hello, Min. I cannot hear you, Min. Are you connecting still? My microphone's all pinched, but it should be okay. Min, nope, no sound. So check your system, Min. Let me know what's going on. Test it with somebody else. We've had Venezuela and Portugal connect successfully, so should be good. Okay, Min. We'll talk later. All right. Let's try Moni. Moni, are you ready? Just really quickly getting back on the horse. Mooney, if you are there, let me know. Give me a sign. Michelle is asking, or sorry, Michael there is asking, how do I volunteer? Michael, you have to go to our website, ahelp.com, and then create an account if you don't have one, and then click on Student Partner Speaking. You will see everyone in there. Okay. Moni, I'm not sure if you're still with us or if you've left for bed or maybe to work. Let's try somebody else. Let's see if Samantha is with us. Shamantha, are you ready? I believe Shamantha and I've had a conversation in the past. Shamantha. I always think it's Samantha, but it's Shamantha. It just looks so close. Shamantha, if you're there, let me know. Just give me a sign. I love how we have so many volunteers in our live classes now. That's so beautiful to see so many confident, courageous people. All right. Confidence is key. Shamantha, are you with me? Sounds like you picked up, but I don't hear you, Shamantha. I'm not sure why. Again, students, if you're using like data connections with a phone in transit, it might not be. You might not have the bandwidth connection too, right? So you gotta check there. Shamantha, I can't hear you. Oh, you said I am unaudible always. You got to check that out. Send us an email, Shamantha. Let me know what device you're using, whether you're using data or Wi-Fi or LAN, and then I can help you. Let me know what country you're from. We can probably give you some suggestions, okay? So students, if you're having troubles, just let us know. Let our technical team help you, okay? All right. Zarina, one of our regular students here. Let's see if Zarina is here. Okay. Please bounce down, sir. Zarina, are you ready? I know you've been very patiently waiting here, so let's see if Zarina is with us today. Zarina joined our light hall class last Sunday, which was a lot of fun. Okay, here we go. Hi, Zarina.
Hi, sir. Nice to be back again.
How are you doing?
I'm not so well. I'm feeling a bit under the weather.
Yeah, you were clearing your throat as you were picking up the line there, so it lends evidence to what you're saying. Well, I hope you feel better. Try to get a lot of vitamin C in you. You know, actually, I have a kind of a new trick when I'm starting to feel sick. I take zinc. Zinc seems to really
Yeah.
work well. I don't know if you've heard that, but
Vitamin C with zinc.
what vitamin C with zinc? Exactly. I've been able to dodge a few bullets and illnesses that way. Okay, Zarina. Well, good on you for practicing your English even when you're a bit under the weather. Zarina, are you ready for a couple questions on transportation?
Yes, sir. But your video seems stuck.
My video seems like it stopped.
Oh, it's good now.
Yeah, I think there's just a slight delay. Super data heavy, right? And I've got a lot of people chat requesting. So, okay. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go, Zarina. Let's talk about transportation.
Mhm.
Where can you catch the nearest train in your area?
The place that I can catch the nearest train is just around the corner because we're close to the city center and our transportation is quite easy and it takes only 5 minutes away by foot. from my house.
How has public transportation changed in the past 100 years?
Uh, it has changed a lot compared from the past century because the transportation become more uh, available, and it became uh, easy. Like because of the technology, we can get a grab by using our phone, and it's really easy. And this is the way I always use when traveling to some places.
When you ride a bicycle, what should you do to stay safe?
Oh, I definitely use the helmet, if that's what you call about it, and the arm pad, elbow pad, and knee pad. So to make me safe, I always use them all the time.
Okay, that is the end of part one. And now we will go on to part two. Okay, all right, not bad. That's a solid 7.5 to 8. Zarina, you're getting better and better. Keep it simple, keep confident, okay? Keep
Yes,
it,
sir.
use emphasis. So don't lose faith in what you're saying. What you're saying is good. So believe in what you're saying, because if you kind of lose it and then kind of laugh and then and I'm kind of like, okay, I can kind of, but it's because of the voice and the laughing that I'm losing your coherence. So don't lose
Mhm.
coherence because of that. Remember, I'm grandpa. I can't hear you, Zarina. You have to speak loud and clear to me, otherwise I'm going to be like, huh, what? Okay, so not making fun of grandpa, but that's what happens. We get a whole bunch of hair in our ears and we can't hear anything.
Y- Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so where can you catch the nearest train in your area? All right, you said, the place that I can catch the nearest train is just around the corner. Good, you use the question to buy a bit of time, and then you use this really nice natural expression in English, just around the corner. That's very good. And then you said because we are close to the city center and our transportation. Um, Zarina, who are we? Do you have like multiple personalities, or are you talking about your family or your whole neighborhood,
Yeah,
or who are you talking about?
my my
Okay,
family,
but you get my
my
joke,
neighborhood.
right? You get my joke. I have no idea what we means, right? Like
But
we as the
I
people of
should
the
say
world.
I only.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my advice here. And
Okay.
thank you for taking my comedy lightly. I don't mean bad by it, but yeah, it helps me to emphasize this important point that it's I, me, my, right? Don't start
Yeah,
talking in
it's part
multiple.
one.
Yeah, and you never really want to speak in multiple people without clarity, right? Because your listener will always be like, "What? Who are we?" Because I
Okay.
live close to the city center, and it only takes me
I
50.
forgot about that.
Yeah, and it takes me only 5 minutes on foot from my house to get to this train station. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be the truth. You can make it up, right? Just stick with it. Be really clear. Okay, good. So let's try this, Serena. Just repeat after me, okay? Where can you catch the nearest train in your area? The place that I can catch the nearest train is just around the corner because I live close to the city center and it takes me only 5 minutes on foot from my house to get to this train station. Where can you catch the nearest train in your area?
The place that I can catch the nearest train is just around the corner because I live close to the city center, and it takes me only 5 minutes on foot from my house to get to this train station.
Yeah, Very good. Okay, so don't overcomplicate it. Stay calm. You have good fluency. Really focus on good pronoun use. I, me, my. Don't switch to we and the people and tourists because then it's kind of
Turn
like,
up my head.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, so that was good. How has public transportation changed in the past 100 years? I just want to emphasize that you did a really good job here using the present perfect. You said it has changed a lot. And then I love how you paraphrased 100 years with last century because uh, transportation has become a lot more available. You used the has again. You said has become. And yes, I caught both of the present perfects, and I'm giving you points for grammatical range when you're doing that. So that's very good. And then it got kind of weird. You said, and we can get a cab by using our phone. Again, it's I can. Okay. Do you want to take a cab with me, Zarina? Are we going to go somewhere here? What's going on? But yeah, I get you, right? But in the IELTS, you have to be clear. So a lot more available,
Yes,
and it's
yes.
easy. I can get a cab. Now, the cab example was good. But don't forget, Zarina, that you can link. You can link to what you just said. So you just told me that the nearest train is just around the corner from you. 100 years ago, probably
Mm,
not. You probably need to take a horse for like 3 hours to get to the train station, right? So you can link. You can say it has changed a lot compared to the last century because transportation has become a lot more available and easy. Um, I am sure that 100 years back, there would be no train station
mm.
so close to my home as I had just mentioned. Right? So you can link right there. Keep that in mind. So that's another kind of tip or strategy that students should have in their head when they walk into this exam is like linking, linking, linking. So link information, right? Linking words, because, since, therefore, and linking information. Lots of linking gets you high band scores, okay?
Okay.
So let's try this one as well. It has changed a lot compared to the last century because transportation has become a lot more available and easy. I'm sure that 100 years back there would be no train station so close to my home as I just mentioned. How has public transportation changed in the last 100 years?
It has changed a lot compared to the last century because transportation has become a lot more available and easy. I am sure that 100 years back, there would be no train station so close to my home, as I had just mentioned.
Band 9. Okay, that's it. So that's band 9. It's small differences, but that's the band 9. Okay, Zarina, thank you so much for volunteering and thank you for participating in that light hall
Okay, sir.
class on
Thank you so
Sunday.
much
It was
also.
fun. Yeah. Bye, Zarina.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you. That was Zarina. Okay, everybody, that was great. So that's how speaking works. Now, I've run out of time, and if you didn't get a chance to speak to me, it's not the end of the world. You have lots of other people to speak with. Look at all these beautiful people that I'm scrolling through right now. And there are so many of you. Really try to reach out to each other. Use the website. Talk to each other, okay? My time is limited in these classes, and of course I want to speak with different students and give everybody a chance, but the best is, of course, to talk with each other as well. Create a conversation club, create a schedule, meet up with each other through this interface, chat with each other, use the materials, use the questions. Look, there's questions right here for you. Okay, right there. You can click on those, and each of those has 3 different scripts, so there's lots for you to practice there. Okay. All right, everybody. Again, this website that we're using right now, it's aehelp.com. So for academic IELTS, certainly visit us here. Click this big red button to join our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. It's what we use basically as a textbook for these live classes, okay? To get our live class schedule, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell notification button and follow up with our classes tomorrow, members. I hope you understand. I'm in transit, and I before testing this live setup, I didn't want to overcommit. So there's no members chat class tomorrow, but we will have a task 2 writing class for everyone tomorrow at almost the same time, a little bit of a later start, so 30 minutes later start. And then on Saturday, we will have our regular classes as well. Thank you, Carolina, for moderating this chat for us, keeping it clean. That's awesome. It's always a pleasure to have you, making sure that we're having a good class. Thank you, Baljeet. Thank you to our members for being with me today, and thank you to all of our viewers. I hope you have a lovely, lovely rest of your day, or awesome dream if you're going to sleep. Again, aehelp.com, gieltshelp.com. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from the Cowichan Valley here next to Cowichan Lake on Vancouver Island in Western Canada. Much love to all of you wherever you are in our big, beautiful world. Bye for now, students.